Okay, History 3873. This is another recording for our World War II class, this time focusing on the Battle of North Africa. I know this is again outside kind of our primary focus of the Eastern Front of Russia, but the Battle of North Africa is critical. Um, so some of the key concepts to get across here is the Battle of North Africa secures the Middle East for the Allies and is a launching pad for them into Italy. Now, how does North Africa and the Middle East kind of all work together? Um, Along North Africa on the far eastern side is Egypt, and within Egypt is something called the Suez Canal. The Suez Canal is critical for the United Kingdom's war effort, bringing in oil, men, and war material into Great Britain. Again, an island nation, they need to import all this stuff from overseas. And at this time, most of their oil comes from the Middle East area. The other thing to really, the flip side of this is that Hitler really missed an opportunity. Again, he makes a strategic blunder by not focusing in some of his resources into North Africa, or more of his resources into North Africa to defeat the United Kingdom, especially before the United States enters the war. He's so preoccupied with the invasion of Russia that he allows this battlefield area to kind of go without the resources it really needs to win. And that's sort of the crux here. That last point for the British, this theater of war is their most critical. If they lose the Suez Canal and they lose the access to the Middle East oil, they will be out of the war. And so they put their whole effort into this. Hitler, this is a side theater for him. His key effort is Russia. And that made all the difference. Okay, so stepping back just a little bit, at the end of World War I, Treaty of Versailles, the United Kingdom and France received large portions of the Middle East from the Ottoman Empire, either directly or indirectly through kingdoms that they will support and who are subordinate to them, including Egypt, Syria, Jordan, Israel, Iran, Iraq, the Gulf states, Saudi Arabia, and Kuwait. One of the key things in there is the Suez Canal. Built in 1869, by 1940, 1941, World War II is kicking off. It is the most vital waterway link for the United Kingdom to all of its overseas holdings, especially the Middle East, most especially India, and even to East Asia and Australia and New Zealand. As just mentioned, the Middle East, oil gets discovered there in 1908 in Iran, what is at that time called Persia. And throughout the early 1900s, more and more oil fields are found. Next up will be Iraq, then Kuwait, then Jordan, then Syria. And finally, in 1938, the mother of all oil fields is discovered in Saudi Arabia. Again, at this time, a British run area. And again, Britain gets the vast majority of their oil from the Middle East. And again, it's transported from the Gulf up through the Suez Canal, across the Mediterranean, up into Great Britain. Moving us forward to the May-June time period of 1940, France falls. At this time, Italy joins Germany in the war against the British. And that's critical because at this time, Italy has a large amount of forces in North Africa and what is today Tunisia and Libya. And Mussolini, the leader of Italy, thinks that this will be a great opportunity for him to reclaim the ancient Roman control of the entire Mediterranean. He's looking to defeat the British in Egypt and then conquer up the Middle East and into Turkey. That's his plan, is to turn the Mediterranean into an Italian lake, was his quote. So the first phase, there's two big phases of North Africa campaign. And want to go over some of the key locations for phase one and phase two. So the first place to note is Tobruk. It's in what's modern day Libya. And at this time, it's a key logistical port It's halfway, pretty much halfway between the British home base in Egypt and the Italian home base there in Tunisia. So whoever can control this port can better supply their soldiers, can keep moving on the attack towards the other guy. The other place to note is El Alamein. This is probably the most decisive battle location for phase one of the war. It's a bit west of Cairo. It's in Egypt. And actually, there's going to be two battles fought here. So kind of take note of that. We're going to mention it twice. Both of these are key. They're both turning points. One stops the Axis, the Germans, and the other one begins the drive into phase two. As mentioned earlier, the Italians have a lot of troops in Tunisia, and Tunisia will be the decisive battle location for phase two of the war. Tunisia's kind of the heart and center of North Africa. And last up on here, it doesn't get enough historical attention in my opinion, but Malta. Malta's a small island, now a nation, between Italy and North Africa. And during this entire North African battlefront, Malta is critical for the British as a base from which submarines and airplanes will go out and sink a lot of the resupply ships from Italy going to North Africa to resupply the Italian and German forces. And without this base providing that hindrance to the supplies of the Germans and Italians, again, it's likely that the Germans and Italians would have succeeded in defeating the British and capturing Egypt and probably most likely the Middle East. And I didn't touch on it probably enough before. Even though Britain and France have all these territories in the Middle East, it's critical to note at this point, most of those territories are very unhappy with the imperialist rule of Britain and France, especially Britain. Hitler is in regular communication with Islamic leaders across the Middle East. They very much agree with his views on the Jewish problem. And Hitler was basically promising them to liberate them if they will rise up and assist his forces in defeating the British overlords, especially in Jerusalem, Iran, and Iraq, especially all those three places. So again, if the Germans can push past Egypt and get into the Middle East, they are expecting an uprising by the local population led by the religious leaders in the area to overthrow the British Empire. Okay, that'll stop this phase or this topic, and we will get into the next one.